Hey guys, it's Luke here and welcome back to another video. You join me today with one of my favourite hot hatches. There's no secret that I absolutely love the Hyundai i30N. This is the, I suppose you could call it Gen 2 i30N, the DCT one. Of course, the Gen 1 was the manual only car. With this car, they made some huge changes, massively improved over the already very good Gen 1. But this is quite a familiar car to the channel. You have seen it before. This is Matt's car. It's running about 400 brakes, stage 2, been really tastefully modified. So what we're going to do before we get into the main part of this video, which is of course, you know, various things that you should know before buying one of these cars, or just a general buyer's guide. We'll have a catch up with Matt, then we'll get stuck in with what is going to be another buyer's guide for anyone out there looking to buy one of these cars. Okay, we're joined once again with Matt, the owner of the car. It's good to have you back on the channel, mate.
Yeah, cheers.
Good to see you
back. Yeah.
This thing looks as clean as ever.
Yeah, well, it's just been clean, so that's why. Yeah.
Before we get into the main part of the video, like I said, there are some bits which you've done to the car since we last caught up. So yeah, basically tell us what you've done.
Yeah, well, so I think the most recent thing since the last video on your channel was just before we went to Santa Pod.
We caught up there, yeah.
I literally did this mod the day before we went, and that was strengthening braces just underneath the car to basically like just stiffen up the wheels and basically help with that acceleration. They are RPN Motorsport wishbone braces, and that basically just really helps the car just stay solid and not wheel hop loads, because that is a very big problem in these. And yeah, that's what I've done. Definitely one of the points I'm going to mention today. Yeah, exactly. And then the only other thing I've done to it is carbon body kit, and that was, I'm very lucky. I've been quite lucky with this car, to be fair, with a lot of development, and CT Carbon was lucky enough to get development with the 4-piece body kit. So I got the front splitter, side skirts, spoiler, and the diffuser.
It's really nice. Very subtle, but you know it's there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So yeah, front splitter, side skirts as well. I like this nice little flick at the end as well.
Yeah.
A little lip spoiler on the back, which kind of just accentuates the already quite nice spoiler on the back of the car.
Yeah.
And then, my favourite bit, look at this. Lovely diffuser. So yeah, your car was basically used to develop this kit?
Yes, it was, yeah. So I turned up once for them to scan the whole car, and then again for them to fit it all.
Cool, so, mega. And as I said as well, this is obviously a stage 2 400 brake car anyway.
Yeah.
So it's had a load of other bits done. But if you want to learn more about, well, this specific car and what Matt's done to it, then of course you can check out the full feature, which is already up on the channel. But yeah, thank you for coming down.
No worries.
I need to kind of dive in and tell you guys some bits which you need to know about before buying this amazing car, because to be honest, take this with a pinch of salt, because I love these things. They're so good. And so yeah, let's crack on. Okay, cracking straight on then, and we're going to dive straight into the front. These front wheels on this car are very busy. Of course, the i30Ns are front-wheel drive. Someone needs to make an all-wheel drive one of these things, because it would be bonkers. And to be honest, like I said, take this with a pinch of salt. Most of the problems with this car comes from the front axle. Now, the first of which is actually the tyres. Obviously not relevant to just the front axle, because they've got the same on the back, but they don't really do much. The tyres which you get from standard, from factory on these cars are Pirellis. Now, I am maybe a little bit biased with what tyres I put on cars. I mean, I have no affiliation with any tyre brand whatsoever, but I do have a preference, and Michelin's are that preference. Standard on these cars, they do come with Pirellis, and of course, I suppose nowadays in where we're looking at the market now, these cars are not brand new, so it's rare that you're gonna find one with the factory tyres. But I would recommend changing out the OEM spec tyre. Not necessarily the dimensions of the tyre, but the make. Of course, on this car, we have a set of Goodyears, which actually very good tyres as well. But sorry, Matt, if it was me, I would put Michelin's on it. He's giving me devil eyes over there. But yeah, I mean, the standard Pirellis, they're okay during the summer, so I'm told, but in winter, like we are now, hence the massive coat, they're not great, really low grip, and you want to have as much grip as you can, especially if you're going to daily it, because this, of course, whilst it is a very fun car, still very dailyable. Whilst we're up at the front of the car, we're going to basically relate back to what Matt briefly said, wheel hop. That is probably the biggest problem. Again, I hate saying that word. With this car, as I said, the front wheels, especially when you map these cars, they're very busy. They've got a lot of work to do. And to be honest, wheel hop is a big issue. Of course, if you're going to chuck loads more power at the car, like 400 brake, such as the case with this one, then it is going to accentuate that. Now, as we said as well, this car has been to Santapod, which is a very grippy, very prepped surface, and wheel hop there was a nightmare. Now, what Matt's done is put some basically underbody bracing and various bushings, basically aftermarket upgrades, which has obviously helped that, but it is something to bear in mind. If you're looking to buy one of these cars to really push the boundaries, chuck loads of power at it, then you might want to maybe think again. Not necessarily choose another option, but just bear in mind that maybe launch controls, for example, or standing starts, whatever, might be a little bit tricky, maybe not tricky, but a little bit challenging when you've got to deal with as you set it off. Moving on to something a little bit more positive now, and that is to do with the warranty. Now, Hyundai, I think across the range, are very well known for really offering very competitive and very good warranties. In the case of both generations of i30N, you actually get a track warranty as well. All you've got to do is just tell Hyundai, your dealer or whatever, that you're going to a track, and there you go. Or another example is, say, you put a different exhaust on the car, you're going to lose the exhaust warranty. It is quite straightforward and self-explanatory, but yeah, really good warranties for these things. And to be honest, whilst I do love modifying cars, of course my Golf R is just over there, the most modified car I've ever owned. To be honest, these cars, even in their standard form, are great. You can have so much fun and at the same time enjoying that 5-year warranty without invalidating any of it. So yeah, something really to bear in mind. Hopping into the car then, which for me today is very welcome because it's absolutely freezing outside, for the next point, which unfortunately is slightly negative again. Now we're going to be talking about the infotainment screen, which, if I just bring this into life, put the ignition on very briefly, it can be a little bit laggy. Now this is actually most apparent when you first start the car up. In fact, let's do that now. Now this, I think, is actually quite generic for the whole Hyundai range, really. I think this interface is very similar to what you get on the non-N cars, but typically, I mean, as I'm demonstrating this, it is fairly intuitive and not laggy at all. Of course, on this, you do have the N mode, which is pretty cool, but you can see there is a little bit of lag if I'm being really almost pedantic about it. A couple of little glitches, really, but in general, it is still pretty good, but I don't know. I'm being really, really picky with that, and I appreciate that it really isn't that bad. In fact, this screen in particular is very cool. But yeah, just sometimes it does take a few clicks and a few seconds for it to really initiate what you're asking it to do. Whilst we are here though, I do want to explore more of kind of this part of the screen and part of the interface. It is very cool and really does sum up the kind of ethos around these cars. The whole N range, really, whether it's the i20, i30, or even the Kona, they're all just very fun and they have a lot of tech to really sum that up. For example, if we click custom, this is Matt's custom N mode, which you can basically bring up just here, like that. All goes purple, which is pretty cool. Now that is basically what he has specified. I mean, look, engine, transmission, ELSD, exhaust sound, ESC steering, suspension, all of that you can configure. Going into performance options though, for example, you can see what RPM you want to have your launch control at. I think 3.5 is the maximum. Very, very cool. And you wouldn't find that on something like my Golf. Very, very cool. I'm not going to mess around with that because I don't want to change any of Matt's settings. But yeah, infotainment screen is okay. It is a cool interface, but yeah, just at times can be a little bit laggy. Let's have a little dive under the bonnet though, because as I said, we have got some nice tasty modifications. Not a gas strut as well, which is maybe a little bit millennial of me, but that is quite annoying. Why did I say that? Now under here, we do have some nice modifications. Well, down here actually we have an AirTech intercooler in the case of Matt's car. We also have obviously a downpipe and also an induction kit. But the reason for opening the bonnet, there is really only kind of one mechanical issue or known problem with the car. And it's actually something which is covered under warranty if you haven't done anything too crazy and completely invalidated your warranty, and that is to do with the gearbox. Of course, the DCT, the dual clutch transmission for this car was new for the Gen 2. And unfortunately with the DCT on this car, there is a recall which you need to get done if you haven't done already. If you already own a car and you haven't had it done, or whether you're looking to buy a car and it hasn't been done. Either get it done or don't buy that car. Now obviously anything to do with the gearbox is obviously very important, no matter the age, mileage or whatever of the car. And to my knowledge it was a worldwide recall, but I don't think there was many real big faults in the UK cars. Now whilst there isn't too many details released by Hyundai about what the problem was, I think what was basically happening is cars that were just cruising down the motorway in 7th, 8th gear, whatever, they would downshift slightly to say overtake a car for example, and they would then get locked in a gear. And basically I guess that's like a gear actuator which is gone, or something which then basically prevents the car from changing gear. In some cases as well, it can make some horrific noises, so if you haven't done the recall and you hear weird noise, you know what it's going to be. So yes, that to my knowledge is the only real major thing that you really need to make sure is done, apart from the normal maintenance and so on and so forth, which is apparent and relevant for every single car you're looking to buy, not necessarily one of these, so I don't really feel like I need to mention it. However, to be fair, that is the only real, I wouldn't say problem with the car really, just something to bear in mind. And for a car like this, which is, let's be honest, a performance hot hatch, it is rare to only really have one slight little thing that you need to bear in mind. That though is going to wrap things up for me. I'll be honest, it's hard to really criticize almost a car like this because I absolutely love them. Not many people know this, but when I was looking to build or buy and build a track car, it was between one of these and the Golf R. So yes, they are a mega car. I absolutely love them. And one day I'd love to own one. That I know is no secret. Of course, a big thank you to Matt for letting me use the car for today's video, and hopefully one or two of you find this useful if you're looking to buy one of these cars for yourself. Regardless though, that is it for me today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please do make sure you leave a like and make sure you subscribe for all the adventures still to come.